Okay. Welcome to Satsang. As you know, Satsang has only one focus, one premise, and that is the real and unchanging. The real and unchanging can never be repeated enough because it simply doesn't change. It is oneness. Now I'd like you to really focus on that word, oneness. Everything is one. There is nothing that you can see or hear or experience that is not interdependent, interrelated, and interconnected. Everything is one. Now imagine if you begin to see that as far as your life and others are concerned, and how you begin to understand yourself, because there's only one self, in a whole new way. The mind is the nature of thought. Now thought always has an opposite. Oneness has no opposite. These are the two things in order to see clearly. Okay? So I repeat. Mind thinks. The thought has an opposite. Every thought has an opposite. For example, you get the thought, I want to be young. I want to be young forever. There's a fear of growing old. I want to be healthy. I want to make sure I'm healthy. There's a fear of growing sick or ill. See? So whatever it is that you desire or need or even think about creates an opposite. And the opposite, unconsciously, is what predominates in your life. Okay? Now this is very important because of oneness. Now oneness has no opposite. Now how many of you have wished to be understood by others? And what is that? Now feel it through oneness. Your heart is crying to understand itself. You see? Did you ever wish that you are more respected? See, throughout the years, I received so many clients. And I got some people, especially women, who felt that they weren't respected, either by their husband, not listened to, or by others. And then as we went into it, we'll find that they did not respect themselves. Oneness. Please see that very clearly. That however you feel, want others to be, is how you are to yourself. If we are very concerned, like people who are suffering or people who are not happy with life, and they take out the spiritual life, they have a great need to be saviors, to fix other people's suffering. But why are they so concerned with people who are suffering? Because they themselves are suffering. And by fixing others, somehow I can fix myself. But they don't see it that way. Now, when we begin to see oneness, that everything is one, then immediately we complete the circle. How many of us really believe that you are a separate individual? Separate individual. Most people do. Therefore, there is the fear of death. You see? Why? Because in oneness, please understand this, in oneness, existence and non-existence are both the same. Can the mind understand this? No way. The mind can't understand that, because the mind is thought. The mind is memory. It can only understand that which it has experienced in the past. It cannot understand anything that is higher than its own experience. So therefore, you might say, but Burt, you're talking in a way that I cannot understand it with the mind. True. These words will not reach your mind. But the whole point of satsang is that we begin to listen until there is a resonance, and the heart is saying, well, I don't understand what is being said, but I resonate with it. There is something deeper in me that knows. And here is the oneness again. The paradox of oneness. That as long as you think you know something, you really don't know. But the moment you realize you really don't know, because there's nothing to know, there's only oneness, right? What is there to understand? There's nothing to understand about life. It's all one. Well, the moment you begin to see that it's all one, and therefore there's nothing you can understand because it's a mystery, you begin to understand. But you begin to understand deep down, not through words, not through showing that you think you know something, but it's a deeper understanding, a deeper knowing. See, and that is what's most important, because whatever you know in your heart cannot be touched once you recognize it. But that's another thing about recognition too, which I'd like to address, brings us back to oneness. You see, we think there's something to attain, we think there's somewhere to go, we think we have to realize something. How often people ask me, Burt, I understand you intellectually, but I do not realize it. I do not feel it. Well, we're going to address that. You see? Because, again, there's nothing to realize. Now, see, last week somebody wrote me this, and I'd like to address it again because it's very important right here. This person asked, Dear Sir, Buddha said all sentient beings have Buddha nature. He also said there is no self. If both are true, then who or what is there to realize Buddha nature? If no one is there. That's it. If you realize there's no one there, that's it. There's no one to realize it. So realization means you realize there's no one to realize anything. You see? Now that's a big one for the mind. It's a huge one because it's a mystery. You see? It's a big mystery. You know, of course, the miracles, it's very beautiful too, and I like to quote the beginning. It says, the opposite of love is fear, but that which is all-encompassing can have no opposite. We cannot conceive of anything that has no opposite. You see? So when we think of love and fear, now, of course, it's relating to love as emotional love, okay? Because that which is all-encompassing is really love itself, but love is a mystery. See, we think of love as something, you know, and if you want to understand oneness, I'll say, well, then good luck. There's no way that you can understand oneness. But can you begin to feel it? Oh, yes. Feel it, of course. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it in a different way. What is love? Oneness. You see? If I can see you as myself because we are one, that's what love is. But you can read all the books in the world, you can study for years, you can take courses on love, you can study all the poetry, you can sing all the songs of love, but until you feel love, you don't know love. Because it has nothing to do with knowing about it intellectually. It is a heart knowing. It is a feeling. But I'm not talking about emotional feeling. It is that connection. You see? It's a type of listening, tuning in.